Spooky2 is something that's fairly new to me within the last 3 or 4 months. It's interesting because I learned about Rife himself probably 15 years ago. I was working with a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine in the United States for a while, and he had a device that used frequencies, and that's how I got into it. So it was always in the back of my mind. I'd used other devices, but when I heard of the Spooky2, I jumped on it because someone that I had taught actually was using the Spooky2 devices and said they were fantastic. I have a long history, a long story of my health challenges, beginning back in 2008. This is what pushed me onto a path where I had to look outside of the box of what people call traditional or mainstream medicine, et cetera, because actually, even though it doesn't entirely apply to my practices and use of the spooky now, in 2008, I fell in my home and broke my neck in 2 places. I had severe trauma. I actually spent about 7 or 8 years, which is not all that long ago now, literally fighting back to life from that. So I had gone down into a situation where I've lost so much muscle in my body. I couldn't function. I was on medicines, powerful medicines for pain for several years. So that pushed me out into the non-mainstream or the non-traditional modes of really trying to save myself. So when I see the spooky, when I heard about the spooky, even though I had that was several years ago, it was very exciting to me because it's accessible. The price wise, I understand the science of it because of all of those years that I was learning how these things work. And so to use the spooky now, I mean, certainly it doesn't have to do with my spinal injuries, but it has to do with my whole life, because my whole life, it seems, for the last decade or longer, 15 years, has been all about, okay, I need other mechanisms of health because what the doctors are giving me, it's just not working. It's simply not working. So even with the spooky, I know that you got in touch with me because I was having really bad eye strain. That nothing would work. In fact, it's interesting, right around the time that I first got the 2 Spooky XM generators, it's when I got the eye strain really bad, possibly in part because I was studying about how to use the spooky devices, and I was reading a lot, I was on the internet a lot, and really, really bad eye strain, which I've had other times. I'm embarrassed to report to you that I actually took Tylenol. And I took ibuprofen, and it never worked. After 2 days of taking Tylenol and Advil, and it never ever really worked, it truly never worked, I used the spooky for 20 minutes, and it was completely gone. And it's not just that one time, because of course I love to test my methods. I love to test the methods. And I think several days later, the second time I got the eye strain again, and again I took Tylenol, ashamed of myself, I took Tylenol, and it didn't work. And then I said, okay, I'm going to try the spooky again. And it worked again within 20 minutes. And then about 2 weeks later, again, the eye strain. So the third time I used the same function on the spooky. Within minutes, it's gone. It's incredible. I tried several different eye programs, but the one that really worked for me is one called eye inflammation. Eye inflammation. And again, it was kind of hit and miss, because I was guessing what would be the best. I tried different things. I tried another one called eye disorders. I tried some presets relating to eyes balancing, long and short distance, which didn't seem to do much for my pain. But once I caught on to the eye inflammation one, and it worked the first time, and I just went back to that, and it worked every time since then. So 3 times it worked. There's so many good things about it. The best thing, it takes the power back into our own hands to take care of ourselves. We don't have to sit in offices waiting for someone to see us. We don't have to wait for weeks and weeks on end to get tests. for certain things or to be treated for certain things. Not only those things, see, I could never keep it just to one single thing because there's so many things. Honestly, I'm such a strong proponent of the technology. And you can understand why, being the fact that it, like I said, it puts the power back into our own hands. The side effects, well, I don't know of side effects, anything, there's no side effects similar to the different toxins in the medications that are commonly prescribed. I mean, certainly we can have side effects with, herxing and things, pushing things out of our body. That's natural, but that's nothing compared to the side effects of the medicines with different things in them. So I really appreciate that aspect of it as well. Several people, in fact, 5 of my students have Spooky2s now, and they're learning more and using the applications and learning more, and they're extremely excited about it. I've used it on several people here in my home. I've used it on skin conditions for people. I've used it on muscle conditions that weren't healing, the pulse PEMF. So beyond just the frequencies, the other modalities, the PEMF, the cold laser, everything together is just perfect. I always recommend this Spooky2 to other people. I always do it because it's so, like I said, it's so accessible. Like the cost is completely accessible. It's not a huge learning curve to start using it for yourself, and it's wonderful.